Hey guys, and what's up? Welcome to another episode of Bullshit Games. Today we're going to be talking about Dystopian Legions, because we finally played our first game.
Finally got a chance to play the game. That is right.
I'm the Merc.
I'm
this is
the Lich Lord.
And now we're going to talk to you about Dystopian Legions.
Well, the first thing I think we should talk about is the learning curve that went along with the game, which I personally thought it was a pretty simple game to get into. I mean, there were some minor details that were kind of difficult to, get started on, but overall I thought it was pretty easy.
I'll say that it was probably easier for us because we played some of Spartan's other games.
Yeah.
So we knew how the range bands worked and kind of how your attack dice and things worked. But generally, overall, the rulebook's laid out pretty well, and I thought it was an easy enough game to pick up.
Yeah. I mean, it does definitely help that we played Uncharted Seas and Firestorm Armada. Because not the same, but it's the same kind of premises, the I go, you go, and the range bands, stuff like that. But yeah, even if you haven't played that, I don't think it'd be very hard to.
No.
Maybe like 10, 15 minutes.
The biggest part is, learning the turn sequence and, the setup sequence.
Yeah.
But overall, the learning curve wasn't terrible.
I don't think that was bad at all.
Yeah.
The table setup, which the second kind of thing we're going to be covering in this game, which we may have done wrong because we didn't really read the rules on how to set up the terrain.
Yeah. Well,
but
I didn't even read the rules on really how terrain worked.
I
know,
right.
I'm thinking some of the woods and stuff we had on the board should have been giving us cover and modifying dice to hit rolls and things like that.
For the first game, we just kind of decided to go kind of bare bones.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed is there's a lot of shooting in this game, and shooting is very effective. So I think it'd be better to set up a table with a lot of terrain compared to not with kind of sparse terrain like how we played. But I mean, it didn't affect the game that much because it was still really close in the end.
Oh yeah.
But I think it would make it more interesting just to set up a ton of terrain.
I agree, and it's sort of like alternate history, World War I, World War II-ish. So I think it'd be kind of neat to set up like a tablescape with like a city, or trenches, like a trench battle. I think would look really great with this game.
Really cool. Imagine a Victorian city with weird sci-fi aspects to it. That'd just be pretty cool if you did like a city battle or in the streets.
I haven't read any of the background on the Russian faction in this game, but to kind of reimagine the Battle of Stalingrad would be pretty neat. The room-to-room, street-to-street, real nitty-gritty battle would be pretty cool. So I think there's a lot of room for cool projects terrain-wise with this game.
Definitely.
And I mean, you also, the Empire of the Blazing Sun, you can do a lot of interesting kind of Asian-themed temples and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, terrain is good.
I think I would definitely suggest a lot of terrain for this game.
Which, for some of you out there that play 40k and are used to not using a lot of terrain is good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember playing games of 40k where it's like, terrain?
Well, there's a building and a hill and a hill.
What is this terrain you're speaking of?
And the building's the objective.
It's like, that's going to get in my way!
I can't move my tank over that!
But yeah, terrain, definitely, you want a lot of terrain.
Terrain is good.
I guess faction overviews. I played the Prussian Empire. He played Federated States of America. Yep. And one thing I know, I guess I'll say kind of what was in the army. I had a unit of Grenadiers, 2 Teutonic Knights, an Oberstall, and a Lieutenant.
The starter sets.
What we talked about. If you've watched some of our other videos, what we talked about in them. And the Teutonic Knights are beastie, which I thought they were going to be. Shooting, the Grenadiers are really good at shooting. Lieutenants and both leaders, overall, in both armies, leaders are very effective, very powerful in the game. But yeah, it's a lot of shooting. Definitely a lot of shooting. But they're good in hand-to-hand, especially Oberstall is very good in hand-to-hand, and the Teutonic Knights are very good in hand-to-hand. I actually got my Teutonic Knight killed on the first turn. He got sniped, and I was like, but that was the snipers. Your snipers are definitely impressive. But that's pretty much it for the Prussians.
I noticed one of the first things I noticed with the Federated States is They like mid to short range firefights. They're rolling 3 attack dice for basic guys. They don't like hand-to-hand. They don't like hand-to-hand at all. Where you had like guys with red hand-to-hand attack dice, I didn't have any of that. The best I had was 2 blue attack dice on my lieutenant. Another thing I will say is the lieutenant had 2 just fantastic command abilities. Go to ground was great because when a unit got shot, they could go to ground, and instead of rolling like red dice, you would roll blue, or instead of rolling blue dice, you roll black. Which the difference between dice is black dice, a 6 counts as just 1 hit, blue dice, a 6 counts as 2 hits, and red dice, the 6 counts as 2 hits, and you get to re-roll it.
Yeah.
So that was a fantastic ability. And then he had Rally, which took a shaken marker off of a unit. So the shaken marker that went on them for going to ground got taken off, and it was just a really nice combination. Kind of neat that the wilderness section, which was Buffalo Hunters and Scouts, they had fantastic sniper rifles. They're what killed the Teutonic Knight.
Yeah.
And they could also lay out bear traps.
Yep.
Which didn't really come into effect at all during the game, but it was kind of nice. It was a little bit of area denial to kind of keep them safe. Yep. Overall, I think I really like the faction. I'm glad I went with them.
Yeah, I agree. I like my faction a lot too. I mean, pretty much everything about it I like. There's really... They're very kind of... I don't know. They got a little bit of everything. They're decent in hand-to-hand. Not... I mean, I'm sure there are factions out there that are pretty, hand-to-hand heavy. But they're pretty good mix. They got some hand-to-hand. They got quite a bit of shooting. So. Yeah.
I'm interested to see what some of the other units and stuff does.
Yeah.
Like, I really wish that for some reason the PDFs for the army lists don't work on my computer. I don't know why. Every other website I go to will open a PDF just fine, but not from Spartan Games, which is weird. So I'm going to have to see if maybe the Lich Lord can download our army lists.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
I'd love to get some more, like the artillery piece or like the little tread bike guys.
Yeah. I'd be really interested to see how vehicles work in this game.
Yeah.
Like tanks and, as you said, bikes and stuff like that. I think that'd probably add a lot. I mean, like your snipers, I know, are pretty good at taking out vehicles. I mean, they can take out...
they can shoot them, yeah.
They can shoot vehicles and they can damage vehicles like they took out my Teutonic Knight, which isn't really a vehicle, but
it's just a heavy infantry.
Right, and same with the Teutonic Knights are able to... They have like the can opener ability, so they'd be pretty good against tanks, but I'm not exactly sure how they work yet. But that's pretty much it for faction overview. Now we'll go to gameplay itself, which if you have played Spartan Games before, it's I go, you go type of game, where basically at the start of the turn you roll initiative. Whoever wins that initiative, he chooses who goes first. Sometimes you don't want to go first. Sometimes it's better to go last. Coming down to the wire at the end of the game, you definitely want to go first.
Oh, yeah.
So gotta go first.
Yeah, that's where the being able to spend command points mechanic to make your initiative roll better, it comes in really handy. I think the big thing to get used to kind of wrap your head around in this game that is just so different from 40K or even War Machine and Hordes is the activation. You have activation cards, which they're dry erase cards, and you write the name of your sections and your characters on them. And at the beginning of each turn, before you roll for initiative, you have to decide what order you want your guys to go in, and then you put that stack of activation markers face down on the table. And that's the initiative. That's the order of march. That's how your guys activate. So
it can't be changed.
You can't change it. I mean, there might be characters that have the ability down the road to do that, but
and also we didn't play with the cards. There might be cards.
There might be game cards.
I'm not sure.
But that's a pretty big commitment. You have to really kind of in the first couple of turns, it's not that big of a deal. But when you're in turn 3 and guys are in range, and you got to decide you're trying. It's almost like chess. You're trying to think what your opponent's going to do. Because if you think he's going to move that unit first, and that'll put that out of the game for that turn, and you don't need to worry about it. You can wait to activate something else later. But you also got to worry about if you have a unit out in the open, you want them to activate first. It's a lot of thought.
I mean, if you have a character out there and you need him to go first, and you have him go second or third, and he might end up dead. I mean, it's
the one thing I'll say about characters in this game is very survivable. I mean, they have ridiculous, a really high wound and then a even higher like to kill rating.
Right. Yep.
It's silly. It's good because you don't want your character to die right away.
Right. Which it would be not that difficult to happen if like the snipers or if the Teutonic Knight or something got in on the first turn. But yeah, that's actually one thing I really liked about the game is that the characters are survivable. Like both the lieutenants and the character, the named characters that we had.
I like the fact that this is a kind of alternate history steampunk World War I, World War II era game. So there's not a lot of focus on hand-to-hand.
Yeah.
It is pretty shooting intensive. Like, you can... The second turn of the game, my wilderness section with the scouts and the buffalo hunters, they blew away a Teutonic Knight. And, when you take damage like that from a shooting attack, it's demoralizing.
Yeah.
But then we got to the end of the game where we had, like, a smattering of models left apiece, and hand-to-hand just takes forever.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure, like, if you're playing... maybe Empire of the Blazing Sun with, like, Shinobi that are hand-to-hand specialists or any hand-to-hand specialists that might come out for the other factions.
Yeah.
Like, I know your Teutonic Knights were pretty
good in hand-to-hand.
Beefy in hand-to-hand.
They shoot well, too. Yeah, but they're definitely good in hand-to-hand. And with the character player.
Yeah, I didn't check my Wilderness section. They might have been better in hand-to-hand. But if you don't have a model or a unit that's designed for hand-to-hand, I seriously think that it's, like, a last resort option. Which I like that a lot. I know we kind of poke at 40k a lot here, but when you're in 40k and you want to charge for the most part, like 9 times out of 10 in 40k, assault is where it's at, or at least it used to be in 5th edition. It might have changed in 6th. I haven't played very much of that, but I played Demon Hunters in 5th edition, and hand to hand was my bread and butter. Same thing with my Blood Angels. It was bread and butter hand to hand.
Yeah, one of another aspect of this game I really thought was cool with hand to hand was the duel. That was really cool because even though my character Oberstall is very good at hand to hand, his character, who was not as good at hand to hand but very good at shooting, still had a chance to shoot at me and do his attack. Basically, how it works is one unit, you put a duel out. What's the word I'm looking for?
Challenge.
Issue a duel.
Issue a duel, yeah.
Issue a challenge. And you fight. After the combat, basically you get separated. So he's trying to go first next time, so he gets a chance to shoot at me, or otherwise, which I thought that was, kind of added a cool dynamic to the gameplay. It kind of made it a little bit cinematic.
We might have been doing it wrong.
We may have been doing it wrong. It was our first game, but I thought it was
towards the end, it came down more to like skimming rules because we were just more interested in playing the game. Yeah. The one thing I will say about this game is there is a very cinematic kind of feel to it because you just with that never knowing what's going to activate next or who's gonna get to go first.
Yeah,
it kind of really
like it makes it very intense. It makes it like, oh man, I gotta go first, and it's an intense game. It really is. I must say that it's pretty intense. But I don't know. What are your overall thoughts on the game?
I really liked it. I was really, really happy with the fact that it wasn't overly complex to get into. It wasn't like we didn't have to spend like 30 minutes reading the rule book. I thought the factions played well against each other.
It felt balanced.
Yeah. And the fact that at one point I thought that I was just done. When you wiped out all but one of my wilderness section. I was pretty discouraged. And then, it came down to at the end, I think we each had 3 models left before the final round of hand-to-hand. So, I thought it was overall a pretty balanced game, and I look forward to playing it again.
I agree. I thought it was very balanced. There were a couple moments there where I thought I was done when my Teutonic went down like the first turn. Like, man. And then there was a moment where I was like, oh, man, I got this in the bag. And then there was a moment where I was like, oh, it's getting really close, and it ended up being really close. But yeah, overall, I just really enjoyed the game. I'm glad we got into it, and as you said, it was quick to play. Everything was balanced, and it was enjoyable. It was an intense game that I felt like I was having fun playing, and I didn't feel like anything was overpowered. I didn't feel like anything was terribly underpowered.
And I think the thing with this game that I think I liked the most is we played with the starter sets, which was two characters. A unit of basic infantry with a sergeant and a special weapon, and a specialist section, and it was an enjoyable game. I didn't feel like I needed to have a bunch more stuff to make the game. I didn't feel like I needed a tank, and then I needed a troop transport, and then I needed like 3 more units of infantry to enjoy the game. Do I want tanks and stuff? Yeah, because the game's fun. But I didn't feel like I needed them to get enjoyment out of it. I think that was the big thing there.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the fact you can scale it from like small scale actions like Platoon up to like company level engagements is pretty nice.
Yeah, I could see having a really big battle being fun too, but it was just as fun with a small kind of skirmish battle like this as it would be.
The thing that I think would be really, really brain racking with a big battle would be figuring out order of march, like how you wanted. I think if you got like into huge, like big games where you have like 12 or 15 sections, trying to figure out where you wanted all of them to activate, that would be, I think,
be difficult.
It'd be a very, very thinking man's game.
We'll see. Maybe we'll eventually have games like that where it's like,
well, like I said, maybe next NJCon, maybe we'll have enough models and we'll have them painted to run a game of this down there on a table.
And I think this type of game would fit well in that because you have a lot of historical gamers. So it's not historical at all. Well, a little bit, kind of. The countries actually existed. But I mean, it's historical enough where people would get into it and want to play it. But it's also like fantasy and sci-fi enough. Not really fantasy, but science fiction enough where people like me and you would get into it also. Which that was probably the biggest thing that I thought was lacking at NGCon.
I mean, I've like to go back to Dystopian Legions. For a long time I've been looking for like an alternate history type game because I really wanted to like Flames of War. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I picked up a couple skirmish rules for like World War II. Again, not really my cup of tea. I like the fantastic element in there, and that's why I think Dystopian Legions for me is perfect.
It's nice you have like the infantry, but beside that infantry is a giant armor, suit of armor, Teutonic Knight. So it's cool.
Shinobis running around on the battlefield. The Brits have the
Gatling guns,
the jetpack guys. And the model I'm eventually going to get for my Federated States is the guy with the clockwork crocodile.
That just sounds cool.
I just want it. I just wants it, man.
But it's definitely a great game. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add, or?
Not really. The one thing I will say is I think it's really great of Spartan Games. When you buy a starter set, they give you a massive quick play rulebook, and then if you need them, they have the PDFs of all the army lists on their website. I think they have the rules for PDF on their website to download. And it's all free downloads. So, if you want to check the game out, go to the Spartan Games website, and you can check out the rules, you can check out the army lists. It's a really nice way to look at it and see if, hey, do I want to do this? Do I want to invest the money into a miniatures game? Because, miniatures games are expensive.
Definitely.
But, that's it. I mean, I think overall, I'm looking forward to playing it again.
Definitely. I think we've covered pretty much everything we set out to cover, and as you said, I want to play it again. But I think that's about it for this episode. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. If you didn't, let us know what we did wrong. We'll try to remedy it. But other than that,
we are trying to hit 20 subscribers. We're gonna put together a bloopers reel for you guys. But that's it, really. If you've played Dystopian Legions, if you have comments on factions or things we didn't talk about, feel free to leave them in the comments. Getting a nice discussion going on a good game is always fun.
Definitely.
But I think that's it. I think we're going to go play a game of Forbidden Island before we call it a night here in the office. And probably next week we will have a video talking about Forbidden Island. And hopefully we'll get a chance to play a game of Infinity, because that is the next game that we've bought all this nice starter sets for that we haven't gotten to play yet. So, as always, hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time here on Poolshed Games.